Into Germany, the business podcast from the heart of Europe.
Engine room, stand by for departure. Let's go forward spring. Confirm all lines clear.
Imagine for a moment that Germany is a very large ship. If so, then 2025 was the year it replotted its course, heading for waters that were maybe not completely uncharted, but still different than those it was headed toward in 2024. What was the bottom line of this realignment of direction?
We will do everything we can to put Germany's economy back on course for growth. We'll invest and reform. Those two things go together.
Hello and welcome to Into Germany, the business podcast brought to you by Germany Trade and Invest, or GTAI for short. I'm Kelly O'Brien. Today, we're taking a look back at some of the most important business stories of the past 12 months in Germany. The voice you just heard was Friedrich Merz. At the start of 2025, he was the leader of Germany's conservative opposition. By May, after snap elections, he became the 10th Chancellor of the Federal Republic. The outgoing parliament changed the German constitution to allow the government to take out huge amounts of new credit. The new government, led by the Conservatives and their junior partners, the centre-left Social Democratic Party, promised to be much more explicitly business-focused than its predecessor. We'll be hearing about the measures it has taken throughout this programme. GTAI CEO Julia Braune underscores one of the main points.
Well, we're talking about €500 billion of extra spending power the government can call upon to invest in Germany's future. That will and can be infrastructure, and also €100 million are allocated to climate-related investments, for example, to advance Germany's transition to renewable and sustainable energy. And just to give you a feeling, what does it mean, €500 billion for Germany? By comparison, Germany's GDP is around €4.3 trillion.
2025 was a big year for Germany in terms of microchips. Nearly €1 billion in state support was approved for a €5 billion project by Infineon in the eastern German city of Dresden. The internationally renowned Belgian research institute Inter-University Microelectronics Centre chose the southern city of Heilbronn as the site of its Advanced Chip Design Accelerator Hub. And Germany was named a key global producer in a study by think tanks IFO and Econpol Europe. GTAI chip expert Jerome Hull.
2025 is a landmark year for German semiconductor investment, underscored by TSMC's multi-billion euro investment in Dresden, which is a major commitment marking one of the largest foreign direct investments in both Germany and Europe, alongside Global Foundry's ongoing expansion in the regions. These strategic moves reinforce a vibrant and growing ecosystem, characterized by a strong network of leading research institutes, suppliers, manufacturers, and end users, which firmly establishes Germany's rising role as a key global producer and an essential de-risk and technological advanced partner for semiconductor investments.
Electromobility made an impressive leap forward in commercial vehicles, particularly trucks and buses. Germany saw a nearly 100% increase in the number of electric bus registrations. E-trucks also gained considerable traction. It's a European-wide trend, and since Germany is at the heart of Europe, it's in the thick of this trend too. E-mobility creates all sorts of markets, first and foremost for a charging grid, as Niels Heine, Vice President of Go-to-Market and Alternative Drives at truck maker MAN, told us.
We expect to achieve 50% with battery electric vehicles, and then it will continue, but we expect, let's say, in 10 years, 2/3 or even 80% might be electrical when you have the electrical system working, and it's always the vehicle plus the charging.
2025 saw Germany celebrate the 15th anniversary of offshore wind power. In April 2010, Alpha Ventus became the first German offshore wind farm to go online. It consisted of 12 turbines with a total capacity of 60 megawatts. Within 15 years, the number of turbines installed in Germany has increased more than 13-fold, and capacity was up to over 9 gigawatts. That's 150 times as much. The trend is set to continue. By 2030, installed capacity is expected to reach 30 gigawatts, then 50 gigawatts by 2035 and 70 by 2045. Markus Nölke, the head of Industry Association WAB, says,
"A lot has happened in the last 15 years, and the numbers speak for themselves. The history of offshore wind development is, of course, much older than 15 years, and there was also a lot of skepticism beforehand as to whether it was feasible and sensible, both technically and economically. Today we can say, yes, offshore wind is a success story."
In May, GTAI released its annual report on the flow of foreign direct investment to Germany for the preceding year. The news was mixed. FDI was down somewhat in both project numbers and total volume in 2024 compared with 2023. But with more than 1,700 companies investing over 23 billion euros in German expansion projects, the level of activity remained quite high, considering the many challenges the world and German economy continue to face. Here's GTAI Senior Manager for Investment Services, Thomas Bozoyan.
These numbers contextualize and relativize some of the recent negative headlines about German growth. Germany remains the economic heart and powerhouse of Europe, so it's still a top location for international companies looking to expand their business.
It may have required changes to the German constitution, but the Merz government used new leeway, allowed by relaxations on deficit spending, to free up funds for a massive infrastructure spending programme. As we heard, the size of the initiative was €500 billion. And that wasn't all. Defence spending was completely exempted from limits. 2025 was the year the German defence industry really took off. Munich startup Helsing increased its value to more than $5 billion, while Quantum Systems also became a unicorn. GTAI Managing Director Achim Hartig explains,
Helsing is one of the most remarkable success stories in recent months in Germany. The incredible growth illustrates the opportunities open right now, and particularly for companies with AI expertise in the dual-use, security and defense sector.
Meanwhile, a survey showed the German government invested a record amount in research and development in 2024. It allocated nearly 90 billion euros on future technologies, 8.5% more than in the previous year. And another study shows that German spending on education, research and science is reaching almost 400 billion euros. Former Director General of the German Ministry for Education and Research, Armin Reinarzt, says,
"Research and innovation made in Germany has a great deal to offer. Our Big Four research institutions, our excellent universities, countless innovative companies and a vibrant startup scene. We target our support across the entire innovation chain, from excellent science to application. For example, in key digital technologies, in health, in biotech, climate-friendly and resilient energy. We do give tax breaks to companies for research and development. So in total, Germany's annual expenditure for R&D is already well above the EU goal of 3% of the GDP. That is more than in most other large economies worldwide."
It's intended to be a rocket for the German economy. In the late summer, the German government introduced a tax incentive program nicknamed the Growth Booster, aimed at stimulating investment. It will see a gradual reduction of corporate tax starting in 2028 from 15% to 10%. And it changes the structure of tax deductions for investments, as German Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil told the country's parliament.
We're raising the deductions for investments in the coming years to 30%. That means a company that buys machinery for 120,000 euros can already write off 40,000 in year one. These super deductions are simple and uncomplicated. They have an immediate effect and offer advantages to all businesses, whether they be tradespeople, family-run companies, SMEs, or industrial corporations.
And speaking of rockets, another sector that was constantly in the headlines this year was space. Hot young Munich startup ESA Aerospace became the first company to be commissioned to put European Space Agency rockets into orbit. And American new space company Planet Labs announced an 8-figure expansion in Berlin that will see it construct satellites in the German capital. The news was significant enough that 2 government ministers attended the announcement. One of them was Dorothee Bär, head of the Ministry for Research, Technology and Space.
The government has always been responsible for aerospace, but the fact that space is now part of the name of a ministry shows how important it is, also for the German chancellor.
And here's Katharina Reiche, German Minister for Economic Affairs and Energy.
The sky is not the limit for innovation and startups like Planet Labs. New space is a driver of innovation in space, but new space is also an essential pillar of economic growth, resilience, and independence in a dramatically changing world.
2025 will also be remembered as the year the German startup scene staged a major bounce back. Q2 venture capital funding was up a whopping 45%, and 4 billion euros were invested in the first half of the year. The size of the deals, sometimes reaching 9 figures, increased as well. No wonder that 1,500 new startups were established during this period. Germany, as GTAI trend and innovation scout Kiana Frank explains, offers fledgling businesses a number of advantages.
So Germany really has all ingredients in one plate. We've got outstanding talent, world-class research, and a very strong, unique industry base. And also Germany, I think, really offers a plethora of different federally backed startup support programs, such as the DHub initiative, which ranges across 25 different hubs in Germany and helps startups to connect with the right decision makers in order for their ideas to scale not only nationally, but internationally.
Speaking of investments, the government recruited 105 companies, including some of Germany's best-known multinationals and smaller family-run businesses, for a massive investment program called Made for Germany. The companies involved have pledged to spend some 735 billion euros to stimulate growth, with 12 figures coming as new investments. The initiative is spearheaded by Siemens and Deutsche Bank. At the unveiling of the program, Deutsche Bank chairman Christian Sewing set the tone.
Germany has enormous potential. What we need right now is to ensure we exploit this potential together. Today makes me very optimistic that we'll succeed. Today showed me we have everything in our own hands and possess the necessary strength.
And finally, as 2025 drew to a close, Chancellor Friedrich Merz's governing cabinet put forward an extensive set of proposed laws to eradicate regulatory bureaucracy and digitalize state administration. Initial savings were projected at some 100 million euros. But the cabinet also listed a series of next steps to be taken at the latest by the end of 2026. German Digital Affairs and State Modernization Minister Carsten Wildberger said the goal was to save the state and the private sector as much as 5 billion euros.
We've laid a further cornerstone for another long-term targeted reduction in bureaucracy, or as I prefer to put it, we're making life easier again for our citizens and companies.
So there you have it. We've completed our voyage through some of the biggest German business stories of 2025. Thanks for being on board. There's a new captain and crew on the bridge, and it will be interesting to see where they and the private sector steer the German economy in the year to come. Wherever it heads, though, it's worth keeping an eye on for your company. After all, Germany remains the biggest market in Europe and the heart of business on the continent. Germany Trade and Invest can help you navigate the possibilities at no cost because we're a German government agency. Let's talk at GTAI.com. We're also keen on your opinions, suggestions, and questions. Please leave a comment in your favourite podcast app or drop us a line. You'll find all the details in the Into Germany show notes. So until next year, anchors away, frohes Neues, auf Wiederhören, and remember, Germany means business.